Mukhi Sahib, Kamariya Sahib, Mukhyani Ma, Kamayani Ma, leaders of the Jamaat, esteemed guests, sisters and brothers, Yali Madad, Salam, good evening, and welcome to Ismaili Centre London. Our special guest this evening is Beth Nolan. Beth received her PhD in Applied Behavioural Gerontology. She's the Director of Research and Policy for Teepa Snow's Positive Approach to Care, or PAC. Formerly an Assistant Professor of Public Health at the University of Pittsburgh, her work centred on implementation of evidence-based programmes for behavioural health, criminal justice, medicine, and senior living. As the lead mentor and trainer for PAC, Dr. Nolan now works to help caregivers become care partners. I would now like to invite Chairman of Aga Khan Social Welfare Board, Akbar, to make some opening remarks. Thank you.
Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. Leaders and members of the Jamaat, our guests and our online audience joining us from around the world on Ismaili TV, welcome and thank you for being with us. A number of volunteers were fortunate to have recently been invited by Devonshire Dementia Care to meet with Beth Nolan and her colleague Teepa Snow to learn new skills in dementia care. It opened up, for me, a new and enlightening approach to dementia, and I hope you too see that tonight. As medical advances contributes to human longevity, we need to be more actively preparing for aging. As younger generations become more mobile and traditional family structures become looser, we need to better manage the gaps in support created and felt most on those aging. And we need to better assess the impact on caregivers, on daughters and sons, the sandwich generation, in fact, at some point, on all of us, as the collective process of aging and longevity brings on conditions such as cognitive decline and dementia. With all of these forces at play, a global resource group on aging gracefully has been established to share best practice across geographies on initiatives such as the future of aging, loneliness, and dementia, where we all face similar challenges. By the way, not only for the older segment of our Jamaat, for age is multidimensional, and it is never too early to start preparing for living longer. So I'm delighted that we are able tonight to raise greater awareness of dementia, what it is not, ways to overcome any stigma, and how sharing stories enriches our shared experiences. I am very grateful to Devonshire Dementia Care in helping us push forward this area of our work, to Beth, who has flown in from a conference in Geneva, en route back to the United States, and who yesterday shared some helpful ideas with our Dementia Carers Support Group. And of course, to our respective teams in London for making this event possible here at the Ismaili Centre and on Ismaili TV. People living with dementia are doing the best they can. We must be willing to change ourselves, and when we know better, we do better. Tonight, Beth will start us on a journey that will change the way we think about dementia. Please welcome Beth Nolan.
We're going to move our bodies as well as our minds tonight, not just because you all had tea just now. We got to keep you awake for a little bit longer, but also because when I move my body, I actually learn a little bit better, okay? So tonight, we're also going to be a little silly, because there's a great part of the brain called the amygdala. So we'll start it small, okay? So go ahead and take your two hands, make a fist, put them together, and pop your thumbs up. This is the amygdala. It's a great word, isn't it? Amygdala, say that. Amygdala. It's actually our thrive to survive. Every organism on the planet that has a nervous system has this limbic system. This thrive to survive, it has actually has three functions. But the two functions we're going to talk about tonight is our ability, do this, threat perceiver, look around. Who is a threat? It actually keeps us safe. It helps us know, okay, I'm amongst friends. I'm amongst people who are interested in meeting and talking with me. I'm with someone who's going to keep me safe. Or maybe, look at the person next to you. I'm with somebody who loves me. True or not true? And when we're with people that we truly recognize, maybe not recall, we'll get to that, but I actually recognize something about them. I know this amygdala goes like this. Do this. It can calm down. It's still there. It's still there. Now the other part of the amygdala, do this. It's our pleasure seeker. It's all the pleasures in life, all those things that we hope to kind of, control a little bit. But it's also, now, do you like coffee or tea? Each one of us has a preference, don't we? Sweet or savory? See, we know these things, don't we? So our amygdala needs to get something that it likes at least once a day. And if we continue to not get those things that we like, if we continue to not have the opportunity to find moments of joy, this community has learned a lot about mental health in the last number of years. And so we know what happens. And you guys are welcome to grab tea, because I'll probably talk about food a couple of times. You're truly welcome to take a phone call and come on back. Don't feel like you're pinned to these seats. But if our bodies and our brains don't get a little bit of joy, a little bit of contentment every single day, what begins to happen to our brains and our bodies? We become less and less hopeful, don't we? And when that hope just drains away, what do we know can happen to some of our brothers and sisters? So thinking about this in terms of how it is our amygdala, part of this, we might be able to find a little bit and to have some fun. And if we can find those moments of joy, even in the darkest moments, we can come together to, at the very least, feel safe. All right? So tonight, do this with me. We're going to have a little moment of, aha, do that. Aha. Some moments of awareness, the fact that there's hope in dementia, that while it may be a terminal illness, it actually can last 10, 20, or more years. That's a long time to just be dying, isn't it? So tonight we're going to be talking about what we do to live during that time of neurocognitive change. And it's possible. Then we're going to do this. Take this. We're going to take in data. You're going to learn some new things, see some pictures. And some of this stuff, if you've seen Teepa Snow stuff, you may have seen some of it. But we're going to take in data and hopefully take it to your next level of where you're at. And then hopefully, here's the most important part. Take out these 3 fingers. We're going to learn and try some things tonight. We're going to do some skill. Because these are your skill fingers. We know this because pretend to button a button. Try that motion. Try that, button a button. Feel that? You tuck those other fingers away, don't you? Even zipping a zipper. But yet, these other 2 fingers, this hand is actually divided neurologically into 2 parts. The skill that we're going to try tonight, but also your strength. So if you could, think about the screw that's already started. Go ahead and give it a twist. Make that motion of screwing in a screw. Notice what muscles you use in the fingers. It's just as important to know I can start out awkwardly with at least grasping onto this knowledge, but over time, I actually can develop skill. And the most important part, to be with me during my journey of dementia, I need my loved ones, I need my family to develop that skill. Because everybody do this. Hold up those fingers. All dementias, all 100 to 120 different forms, types, and causes, they all rob us of skill, but they leave us with strength. The strength of our relationships, the strength to push and to pull, the strength to know what I like and what I don't like. So tonight we're going to figure out where we maybe are misreading some of these things that we're interpreting as bad behavior. Our communication's changing, and we've got to figure out what is that skill so we too can have those moments of aha. Whether you're living with dementia or your loved one is, that I can actually have those moments of joy myself. Ready? All right, we're going to play. Now, I want you to first take a look at a friend of mine. Her name is Lauren, and she is a retired geriatric nurse. And at the age of 52, I think she was a little bit younger when she started really having symptoms, she developed young onset Lewy body dementia. And Lauren was no longer able to be a nurse. It's what she loved doing. It was her identity. It was her world. But when she found TIPA, she started realizing she could still be a nurse, but in a very different way. So Lauren began to travel with us and to teach with us. So this is Lauren, who really is living with Lewy body. And I'll set you up for what's going on here. So in this, and we'll come back to some of these in a second. So in this video, Lauren and TIPA and another friend had been traveling. And at this point, she hadn't eaten anything in about 36 hours. So 36 hours, just to give you an idea, are you going to die of starvation if you don't have food for 36 hours? No. Are you going to be uncomfortable? Yes. Are you maybe not going to function as well? So now add on top of that somebody with a neurological condition. And you can well imagine the level of hallucinations that she was beginning to have, the pain that she was experiencing. And we knew if she didn't eat, was it going to get any better? So this is TIPA trying without skill. This is this, just with strength. She really, really wants to hold on to that relationship. She wants Lauren to eat something because she knows she'll feel better. So we asked Lauren if we could try this and take a video of it. And this is Lauren allowing us to do really weird things to her because she then can be a nurse educator. So let's take a look, and your job is to figure out 3 things. This is your skill. What is it that Lauren is seeing TIPA doing? What is she hearing TIPA's doing? And how is TIPA moving? Watch for those 3 things and see if you can notice what's working and what's not.
Lauren, hey, it's TIPA. Do you want one of these? Do you want one? You should have one, Lauren. You did, wait, hang on. You didn't have anything. I want you to, Lauren, here, I want you to try this.
No.
Try it. Here, come here.
Can you?
No, it's okay. Here, let me open it for you. Lauren, no, you're not going to be safe. Here, come back over here. Sit down. Now, Lauren, you need to try this. Here, come on. If you don't want this, what do you want? Here, try this. This is good. You like oranges. Your sister said you like oranges.
That isn't even a proper orange.
It is an orange. No, this is Lauren, I need you to stay in the chair. Here, try a bite. Here, try one of these. You'll like it. Here, Lauren, try it. Here. Lauren, look at me. Look at me.
So, how did that feel? Here. Yeah. How many of us have actually gotten roped into this moment of trying to get someone to eat who's sick? We can see TIPA's point of view. But the nice thing about watching this video and being able to see Lauren's reaction and knowing truthfully Lauren is okay with this, I've got the other video with the skill, so it does get better, I swear. What I'd like for you to do, and those of you at home, if you're not with somebody, to think to yourself, but I'd like you to turn to your partners for just a moment, and I'd like you to identify. This is taking some work. Identify something that you noticed that made it here for you, that TIPA did. What were some of the things watching this that bothered you about that TIPA she was just trying to get Lauren to eat? Turn to your partners and talk about it just for a moment. See if you can figure out. Okay. So I'm going to pause you. So if anybody, and I'll repeat what's been said, so if anybody could share out, what were some of the things that you noticed that bothered you? Yes? You were apprehensive that she was going to fall over. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, she was not, so tell me more about that. She was really, whew.
Well, because I think she was out of her comfort zone the minute she started forcing her to eat, and she went to the side of the armchair. And I was just worried the center of gravity was going to change and she was going to fall out of the chair.
Yeah, she was crawling over the back of it, wasn't she? So that already looked dangerous, didn't it?
Yes.
Now, does anybody know particularly about this type? Because that's a really great pickup. So not only was she trying to get her to eat, but then what happened is she ended up pushing Lauren back and just trying to get out of that space, didn't she? Yeah. Now, how many of you guys know specifically about Lewy body? Anybody know some of the characteristics about Lewy body dementia? No. Yeah. There's visual hallucinations, and they are real to the person. Yeah. So we have the way that different dementias develop differently for each type and cause of the different diseases. The other feature of Lewy body, do this, is the sensory motor strip. The part of your brain that takes in all the sensations around you, interprets them, and helps you move as a result of it. And so one of the hallmarks of Lewy body is the fact that it is a movement disorder. So if you now know that this woman actually has a likelihood of increased falling, what does that even look like now even more so? How dangerous this situation is, all because Teepa just wanted her to eat something. Yeah. What else? Anybody else saw something? She should have had the orange herself. She could do herself, couldn't she? Yes, we noticed that, didn't we? So the skill that she had, even though she was unstable and going over the back of the chair, what did she do with her hands that told you she could probably hold an orange and feed herself? Yeah, she held onto that rail. She saw where it was and pushed herself up. This is a little bit of skill, wasn't there? Nice. What did you notice about Teepa's body positioning that did that? How close did she get to Lauren? Yeah, she got really close. I mean, these are two Americans. We have a lot of land, okay? And unless you're in New York City, there's a lot of people in London, and I've even felt it, but we really like our space. But you know what? All humans do, don't they? And when someone gets in your space, that's very uncomfortable, isn't it? So now before we move on and try to figure out what it is we could try differently, why do you think, let's go back to Teepa's point of view here. Why do you think Teepa did what she did? What part of her amygdala desperately was trying so hard that made her suddenly so unaware that she was shoving the orange in Lauren's face? Why would Teepa do that? She's very concerned. Yes, she really is. She knows that Lauren, let's say this. Say this. She needs to eat. Say that. She needs to eat. It feels true, doesn't it? And here's where I'm going to cause pause. Did Lauren eat? No, didn't work, did it? So did Teepa get her needs met? Did Lauren get her needs met? So watching this in a third party is a wonderful way to start to figure out how it is, what is happening when my own amygdala, my desperate need to help you feel better, this is the way you're going to feel better, starts to take over what is natural, which you all identified here in this moment as the way as a human being should be treated. When my desire to help makes me unhelpful. So I want to order this and sort of like this. Yeah, question.
There was another thing else as well that I was concerned about was the transmission of pathogens from one to the other.
Yes.
So COVID, cold, whatever it is, the transmission is quite realistic and it's a reality on the ground.
Yes, so he's talking about the transmission of pathogens. In other words, I'm going to make somebody sick potentially by getting really, really close to them, right in their face, much less handling the orange repeatedly. Was those the things you picked up? Was there some more to that? Yeah, it's really, so we can figure out, maybe there might be a way that I can use the parts of your brain that are retained, as well as my ability to, and we've done it already twice, we've paused. It doesn't mean I'm going away. It doesn't mean that I'm going to stop trying to help you figure out how it is you can eat. But I've got to pause, take a deep breath, maybe even back up to give myself that space to think, okay, this is not working. And maybe our first place is to kind of think for ourselves, what do I really know about dementia? Am I just hearing what's out there in the world? So just to order us, to give this idea of this context of things, and then we'll sort of dig in deep and play with these things that you guys identified. What I do want to do is start off here. Now, this is an umbrella that's becoming more and more popular, so this maybe is something you've seen. What I'd like you guys to do is do this, motion of an umbrella, do this. Make a big umbrella, okay? And if you're watching out there, move if you're at all a kinesthetic learner, a moving learner. So this is our umbrella. So what if we took that umbrella and put the word cancer on it? Okay? So still the same, not so happy word. But what is cancer? Why don't we get a diagnosis of cancer? So if a friend comes to us and says, I have cancer, what is it that you ask next? Where? What kind, right? Well, why does that matter? It's cancer. Some of it is very different, isn't it? Some can be very immediately fatal. Some we're actually starting to consider some chronic diseases. I mean, they really need to be managed. It is a cancer, but it really depends. Now, after someone says something, let's say they say breast cancer. So a friend of yours, a woman, says, I have breast cancer. What's the next question you ask? What stage? It matters, doesn't it? Why does it matter? Prognosis. The things I'll be able to do. We have friends that now it's a really yucky season or two with stage 1. And we support and we come in as a community. But we don't actually tell someone get their affairs in order. Stage 4, different sort of response, isn't it? So how many of you know, for a loved one, actually know what's underneath that umbrella? Because we have medical records we're seeing all over the world that all it simply says is dementia in the medical record. Can you imagine in any country in the world where you've actually got a medical record and it just said cancer? It'd be nearly criminal, wouldn't it? You'd find another provider. Not so the case with dementia. Because underneath there are dozens of different types and forms of diseases, each one having a different prognosis, each one affecting the brain differently over time. But we can talk about these in a general sense. We can talk about these in terms of what are the 4 truths. So the 4 truths of dementia, okay? These ones we can do with kind of hand motions. So bear with me here, because these ones are a little bit tough. So do this one. The first one, at least 2 parts of the brain are dying. See that? The first one, 2 parts of the brain are dying at any given time. The second one, it's chronic. Ugh. It can't be fixed. Luckily, I've got them memorized. If the video goes off. The third one, do this. It is progressive. But how it's progressive is very different depending on the type and form of cause of dementia. Alzheimer's, do this. Make it smooth. There's a smooth progression over time generally. Vascular dementia, do this. Whew, recovery. Whew, recovery, but not as high. You're going to have dips, but that doesn't mean life is over. And I may have some recovery, but one of these is going to surprise us. Very different to know from Alzheimer's, isn't it? And very good to know because human beings don't like surprises. And this is the one that I believe, the 4th one, is while it's the hardest to say, if we are not respecting each other, to tell each other the truth, boy, we might be missing out on some things. When I find out that a friend has terminal cancer, how do I spend those times? How do I choose to spend my days with that person? Do I argue over finances? Or do I figure out what's going to work and come together? How many of us have been actually told by a provider when cancer is in the midst that you have the possibility that it may be terminal? That's a respect. And I respect you enough to know that if someone has a diagnosis of some form or type or cause of dementia, we are talking about terminal illnesses. But these terminal illnesses can go from 5, well, actually some shorter, to 10, to 15, to 20 plus years. So here's what we believe very strongly in PAC, that there are actually 4 other truths in dementia. And these are just as true. That things do not work the way they used to be. My abilities are changing, but I gotta tell you, I'm in my 50s, and a couple of you might be able to laugh at me, but I'm thinking things did not work as they used to, as well as they did in my 20s. I gotta say, I do not pop out of bed in the morning, I take a breath, make sure everything's aligned, then I sit up, and then I take another. Anyone like that? So it sounds like life so far, a truth, okay? The second truth about dementia, that this is the new normal. I can't go back to the way things were. I anticipated things to be very different for my retirement. I expected things to be very different with this, marrying a man that was the same age as I, or maybe someone younger. I kind of made an assumption. Or especially if you're a female, and we're acculturated and told again and again that we outlive our husbands. And now the role has changed. This is a hard one to swallow. The reality, though, is that I can't go back to before for anything. I've got to figure out what it is I can do, because number 3, it's not going to stabilize. It's going to tell me how much time I have, so we keep on track. It's going to have to be dealt with, and we are going to need support. But I can tell you the couples that actually come together, the communities that come together, the joy that people find, the advocacy and the voice that people find, for some is transformative. Because it isn't something that has to be 7 to 10 years. It can be a lot longer. And I can now make the choice of what it is I choose to do with that time. And then finally, it is about getting support that works. Because as things continue to change, I want to leave a legacy. And I have a right to leave a legacy. To know that the contribution I made throughout my life, and especially if this disease comes to me or to my family, that I can actually make a change. So let's figure out, with just a little bit of tip of the iceberg introduction to this content, to maybe get a glimpse of how it is that things can be different. Because I have many friends, believe it or not, that are now finding more joy in life after dementia, with a centering of spirituality, a centering of self, a centering of community, and recognizing that they can make a difference, rather than just trudging along as they were before. I have several friends that literally got married after dementia came into their lives. It's possible. So let's figure out how. So now let's go back to Lauren and Teepa. What I'm going to have you guys do is watch Lauren and Teepa interact differently. And this is Teepa interacting with Lauren with actual skill, not just the strength of the relationship and the strength of her desire to have her eat. That's still there. But now I'm actually going to work harder and do a little bit of skill. So the same job this time, we're going to watch this video and watch Teepa to see what it is she shows Lauren, what she says differently, how she says it, and maybe how she moves and touches differently.
I'm going to try 1 or 2. You don't have to have like a whole lot of them. I don't know if you're going to like it that much.
Do you like kumquats?
You know, it's interesting. I don't know that I've ever tasted a kumquat.
Seriously?
Seriously.
That makes me sad.
I'm sorry, but I'm not even sure I know what they look like.
That makes me sad.
Because every time you say the word kumquat, I'm thinking kiwi. And I know that's wrong.
They look like a itty bitty orange, only they're shaped like an egg.
Really?
And you eat the whole thing.
Ooh.
No,
Like the skin?
Yeah, the skin is sweet, but the inside is very sour. So if you like that sweet,
Sour combo?
sour, yeah. You just
yeah, we might have to try that.
matter of fact.
Uh-huh.
Just because it seems like you're not so sure about that.
Ew.
Ooh. Oh, Lauren, I'm not
She
sure we
ate
could
the
eat the
peel.
same thing after that. I mean, I can eat.
It's where all the good stuff is.
Okay.
But I gotta say, kumquat is way better.
Yeah, this is not my favorite. But I'll take one of those parts. Thanks.
You don't want
You want to have another one? Yeah. Let's have the insides, not the outsides. That sounds like the best strategy to me. You're adventurous.
Your food choices sadden me.
I know. Well, yours are always interesting. One more? Cheers.
So, what's the word that comes to mind when you see these two people sharing an orange? Friends, yeah. So what's different? Because believe it or not, I'm not kidding. This is a woman, and if you have healthcare background, or if you're at home caring with somebody who's at the point where eating is changing, you may have noticed how hard it was for Lauren to swallow. Eating is not comfortable many times for people living with Lewy body and other movement disorders. Parkinson's disease, related dementia sometimes. But what is it that we noticed? And this is where I'm going to have you guys talk to your partners again. And those of you watching, think to yourselves or talk to someone who maybe suddenly is there, interested, hopefully. Think to yourself, what are the ways in which you saw Teepa approach differently, show her something differently, how she spoke to her differently, what she said, and how she moved? Turn to your partners and talk for a moment. What were some things you noticed that she did differently this time? All right, so anybody, what did you notice that was different this time? She wasn't commanding. Okay, so we're gonna take that word, commanding. What made you realize she wasn't commanding? What did you notice she did? Her voice, the way she spoke, she gave her the opportunity to make her own decisions. You're right, this woman's an adult, isn't she? Huh, this might be about respect, isn't it? What else? They shared the orange. Now, I don't know about people here, but in my world, in Michigan, where I grew up in the Midwest, if I sat down and ate in front of somebody else and didn't offer them food or made them eat in front of me, it just isn't appropriate, is it? Same for you guys or different? Yeah, I'm thinking. I saw how long it took you all to get tea. This is a communal thing. Eating is a communal thing, isn't it? So it was no longer about someone trying to get someone else to eat, was it? It was about sharing. And we'll get back to infection control, because that is important. What else? She was eating already, so truly showing that and demoing it, for she showed her. Yeah, and yours? Eye contact. She actually addressed her, and it was very, very specific, wasn't it? And it's very specific to the individual and specific to culture, isn't it? How much eye contact and when you have eye contact, the intensity, the steadiness of the gaze with someone. We can feel the difference between individuals. We can feel the difference between cultures. For some cultures, it's very rude to have a very direct eye gaze, isn't it? For others, if I shift my eyes away, I can be seen as shifty, as like I'm trying to hide something. So with every single person, maybe it's not just culture, but maybe it's also the individual. Where do you think Teepa was getting her feedback, her data, to know how long to hold Lauren's eyes and when to look down together in our communal space? From Lauren. So these are the skills we're talking about. Yeah.
Watching that video just now, the one word that came to my mind was equality. They were both equal to each other.
They were both equal to each other. Now, there are some forms and types of causes of dementia that happen in pediatrics. There are many rare diseases that can actually bring on dementia in pediatrics. But for the most part of us, many of us encounter dementia for a full-fledged adult. And for many, it's a senior adult to us. My parents are changing right now. Now, my mother is someone that rules the house. She is very clear and has always been clear about discipline, just as strong as she was about love. Do you think any way that I'm going to get any sort of headway with her in her brain change if I start to tell her what to do? You've got it. So this idea of equality, two individuals coming together in the roles in that moment that they perceive each other to be, is the way that we've got to figure out how to do that with respect. And the only thing that seems to get in the way is that when we let go of that friendship, we let go of that person's autonomy, we let go of the pleasure of being with the other person, and actually go to this place of fear. But the crazy thing about it, everybody take those two fists, put them together. We're talking about one part of the brain. And while it is our place of reactions, our amygdala is our fight, flight, or fright center, isn't it? It's the place that we go, and we startle when something scares us. But we now know that the amygdala is just as trainable as our frontal lobe, that part of the brain that helps us think things through, to be reasonable and logical and rational and to grow skills, the same skills we're growing in our children. That the amygdala is just another part of the brain. And I've got to have the skill to recognize that I have control over that part of my brain too. But I got to respect it. And you're right. This program is about respect. Respecting that individual. So let's break it down from there. Let's really get into some nitty-gritty. We're going to talk about two specific skill sets here in the context of just a couple parts of the brain specifically. And I'm hoping what this does tonight is it literally does those, the aha we talked about, that there might be some other parts of the brain. The brain is wonderfully complex. Let's play with the fun parts first. Let's look about vision. So what did you all notice about the way that Teepa interacted with Lauren? You guys already talked about the idea of eye gaze. She made eye contact. She greeted her like a human being. And then when they started to have a mutual space, they looked at the oranges, didn't they? They didn't stare right at each other. They glanced, didn't they? Two introverts, believe it or not. Two strong introverts. They needed their shared space. So what else do you notice about the height? What did Teepa do with regard to where she put her body, where she put the oranges? Yes, same level. I came to the same, now it's just going back to exactly what you said. It's about this equality. So there's also other parts at play here that are just helpful to know. So let's look at the way vision affects our changes in a moment of high amygdala or any one of us living with dementia. So let's take a look at this picture right here. We've got two brains. And the part that actually is circled, the one over here on your left, I had to think that through, is the person who is living to the very end of his disease with Alzheimer's. The one on the right is a man who died not of dementia. But they were two similar age, same height, same head circumference. Bit of a change, isn't it? The part that's circled, everybody go ahead and take your hand and put it on the back of your head. The part that kind of sticks out the back up here, the top part. This is our occipital lobe. The very back of the brain is actually the part of our brain that actually takes in the data from our eyes and actually processes it. So it takes in these two images from our eyes, flips around and lines them up. Ooh, try that. That's kind of weird. It actually takes in two different images, flips them around and lines them up. And after a while, my ability to do that starts to change. So let's see if we can kind of experience what that is like. And I'm going to have you guys do this very carefully. I'll tell you what I'm going to have you guys do, and then I'll have you go ahead and stand up. And I'd love for you to try this. If you can't stand, if knees are tough, you can stay seated and do this just as well. Okay? So what I'm going to have you guys do in a moment is I'm going to have you go ahead and put your arms straight out to your sides and pull them back a little bit to the sides in just a moment. Okay? So I'll have you guys move so you can actually do this without clocking your neighbor. That would not be good. Okay? All right? So then you're going to go ahead and look straight forward. You may have to turn your body, but what you're going to do is go ahead and I'm on time for once. Yes, it's the hippocampus. It's the part of the brain that tells time, passage of time. Mine's working okay tonight. All right, so back to the occipital lobe. The brain's very interesting. All right, so you're going to take your hands and actually wiggle your fingers and bring them forward until you can just see your fingers wiggling on the edge of your peripheral vision. Okay? So I'm going to have you guys do that. I'll have you go stand up, okay? And put your arms out way beyond here and see where it is. You can see your fingers just barely wiggling on the edge of your peripheral vision. Okay? So now you got it. See if you can pull them out just a hair. See, okay, now pause. Everybody freeze and take a look around. See where different arms are in terms of how far forward or back. Okay, you guys can put your arms down. Okay? I'm wondering if you guys can go have a seat. I'm wondering if there's a young person in the audience that would like to come up and show me where their arms were. And fun thing about this is if you're a young person, you're going to be able to beat me because I'm 52 years old. So does anybody want to come up? Do you want to come up and show us? No? No, you don't want to. Okay, any 20-somethings or younger in the audience? No? Oh, you had me fooled for the minute. All right, so I'll give you a show here, and then maybe you might be able to show us from your seat because I'll tell you a secret. They're all going to look at you and go, oh, he can do that. Okay? So watch my arms, okay? So at 52, and I'm in a different time zone, I've slept pretty well. I've got wonderful accommodations. It's been so if I put my arms, I can actually see my fingers wiggling about here, okay? So can you show us where you can see your fingers? Because it's not here, is it? You can see much farther back, can't you? Can you show your arms? Wait, so bring them forward. Can you wiggle? Bring them forward so you can see them on the edge of your peripheral vision. Okay, so check him out. He's actually... Okay, I usually get young adults. This is crazy. It's crazy. You can actually see your fingers. Do you know that I can't see my fingers until about here? You were back here, weren't you? I cannot see my... So as we age, our brain's ability, his is better. Nice job. High five. Thanks. So as we age, until about age 25, we can actually see beyond 180. But as I age, my brain's ability to take in that data and actually process it begins to change. So by the time I'm 75, no dementia. Do this. It's about a 45-degree angle. Okay, so what it actually will look like is if you take your hands flat and put your thumbs against your cheekbones, it's like looking through a porthole of a ship. But you got to make it flat. This is no dementia. But before we get to that moment that you're thinking, oh, shoot. But the amygdala word in your head is not that nice. It's not that polite. Before we get too upset about this one, as I age, we've heard again and again that my brain's ability to process things slows. But there is a new theory on the horizon that is actually budding. And they're modeling this to look at the fact that it may not be that my brain slows with aging. Now, I will tell you, our knees, our hips, yes, unfortunately, our backs, yes, those really are slowing. They do not move. It's a mechanical thing. But when we're talking about neurology, they're thinking it's more like, think of when you haven't cleaned off your desktop computer in a very long time, and you've got everything on the home screen. You know that person, even if it's not you. That it just really begins to slow down the processing, doesn't it? That in fact, we're thinking that the more things that I learn over time, that actually my brain has to filter through all those things. So it's not that I'm processing slower, it's that I've got more to process. It makes us feel a little bit better. And we can see this when we're about 30 and someone asks us a question, we know the answer. 30, you have a lot of experience. You know a lot of things. You're an adult. And then when you hit 40, you're like, oh, wow, yeah. Someone asks you that same question, what's our answer? 50, 60. The answer generally is, well, depends, doesn't it? Think of those files. So now we enter into a disease process, or any one of us under stress. We haven't eaten, we haven't slept, we're not getting those joys of life. Go ahead and make 2 C's and put them up in your face. So this is my visual field. And go ahead and put your hands on and notice how you've lost your neighbor when your hands are up. This is the visual field that I live in. So how is it that I might be missing things? Because it doesn't just stop there. Because generally 1 out of every 10 person or so has an actual diagnosis at this time. Now go ahead and make 2 O's and put them up on your face. And notice if in fact you drop some tea or some coffee on your shirt and you try to look down, see how far down you have to look in order to see if your shirt's clean. So I, at this point, either have social vision, up and out, or I have task vision, but I can't have both. So it's the same way that we're in a hurry. We're really stressed out. We're thinking of 1,000 things, and we trip over the throw rug that's been in my house for 25 years. I missed it. I had a moment of this, but in dementia, this is the place where 2 to 3 people out of every 10 are actually have a diagnosis. But at this point, no one's able to really ignore things anymore. There's too many things that are happening. We're scaring our loved ones. The finances are really having some troubles. I'm leaving on the stove. I'm getting lost going to the market. Right about here is the first time when people say, something's up. And this is about early to mid-stage in dementia. And it actually begins to change more. The next one, go ahead and make 2 O's. put it up here and give it a wiggle. Because it's not that my vision restricts, but if, let's say, oh, I don't have a pen, but, well, let's say this shows up next to my TV remote. There's not a lot of buttons on that. I don't know if you can see this. This is just the little clicker. It's got like 3 buttons. What I might try to do to try to get the TV to change. Is it going to work? Or a pencil in the bathroom, wait, that's not the right word, is it? The water closet? Thank you, appreciate that. It shows up next to my toothpaste. What might I do with it if it's a pen? Object confusion. I start to confuse objects. And then the next one. Go ahead and actually cover one eye and make a monocle on the other one. And I want you guys to try this, if you will. Try this one. Go ahead and make an O, put it over your eye, and see if after you hold that eye closed for a minute, see if you can take your finger and predict when your finger is going to touch the chair in front of you. And notice what changes when I have monocular vision. What do I lose? Depth perception, don't I? So I go from trying to be helpful and do what I can, and I'm just going to set this down on the chair, and with my depth perception change, what might happen? So let's take a look at what this looks like on a street corner. Now here's a New York City one, so it's at least very interesting, right? So here is our 25-year-old. And notice what all is within the visual field of that person. Can they see the whole crosswalk? Can they see maybe just about the first step or so, the cars that could be coming across, the cars that are going by, the timer, how far it is? So now 75, no dementia. It does restrict just a little bit, but can I see the car pulled up to the intersection? Can I see cars passing? Can I see what I need to do the job I need? I have to be a little bit more alert, but luckily you have more skills. Now, early signs of dementia. Notice what actually might surprise me when the car inches forward, especially if it's a cab, during rush hour. It's going to come out of nowhere. And so here we have early to mid-state, that actual 2 binocular vision. I can only look at one thing at a time. I can either look at the crosswalk in front of me, the step below me, the car to my side, the time I've got, one thing at a time. Because with monocular vision, it's a little bit more than just depth perception. I'm having trouble figuring out what actually is in front of me because I don't get any of the context. And the very last part of this is a place in which my brain says, I can no longer just handle one thing at a time. I can only handle one sense at a time. That in truth, I will have monocular vision when I really want to. But that's if all my other needs are met. Because my field of vision is either only monocular, or actually I'll spend a lot of my time with my eyes closed. It doesn't mean my vision doesn't work. But if I'm hearing things, I can't focus on seeing. If I'm tasting something, I can't focus on hearing. If I'm feeling something, I can't focus on vision. But before we think too much about this as us versus them mentality, I want you to think about that one dish, your favorite food. It generally only comes during that one holiday, and it was just only your grandmother or your mother or somebody in your family, that one special, amazing auntie cook. And then you took that very first bite and you realize, they've got the recipe right. This is the taste of home. How do you experience that bite? What do you do with your eyes? We close them. So every one of us goes through these different ideas of sense. But the difference is, once I'm done with that bite, I can open my eyes and I can socialize and I can eat. But don't interrupt me when I'm tasting that bite. That's the joy that if I take my own vision of dementia and move it from here, not truly being able to see what's possible, and the work it takes, do this, to let go of what I thought was going to happen. I might actually have those moments we see on the internet, those moments of singing, those moments of connection, when everybody else says, oh, your mother's gone, and you say, no. She's not gone until she has literally breathed her last breath on this earth. And that is the moments of joy that we can have in dementia. I have friends to the very end of this disease, and I can tell you, since I've learned what's retained in the brain, we can find it. So what does this mean for vision? How do we use this vision that we know it with each other? So I want you to try something, and if you will, to honor either loved ones here, loved ones that are at home, loved ones that you care about, or who maybe this is part of their legacy, the experience you had with them in dementia in the past, and they're no longer with us, that this is the legacy of the training, the teaching, the growth that they have given you. What I'd love for you to do is try something with me. We're going to try this idea of how it is to actually see through the world of someone living with dementia. So what I'd like you to do is find a partner. Okay, and this is not like some long-term relationship here, just someone you're sitting near, and we promise there won't be any inappropriate things, where we won't do anything too scary. And if you're at home and you're not physically with some other person, try to see what you can see. So what we're gonna do is have one person put goggles on and look over at the person next to him, okay? And I want you to just, make a friendly face. Don't try to be scary here, and turnabout's fair play, so be nice to your friends, okay? Because then you get to put the goggles on. No touching when they can't see you. So keep your eyes open. It is about this. So if I have one of you, just real quickly. So all we're going to do is notice, if you will, how far that I need to be, thanks, Donna, before, I'll get you over here. In fact, I need to step back and lean. So if we're sitting side by side in chairs, just like you are, and Donna has her goggles on. Go ahead, put your goggles on, and look over at me. You wanted to back up. So notice this, and then notice that I can, as well, lean back a little bit too. Is this better or too far? That's fine. This is fine right here. You like a little bit of this distance, don't you? Find out from your partner, and then switch, well, not switch places physically, but then the other person try with the goggles. Try that with each other. And notice how you may be similar or different with that use of space. Try that with your partners. One of you put on goggles and see what it's like to have, how it changes your visual field. Thanks, man. Okay, so what did you all notice? Were each one of you similar or different for the amount of space you wanted? Some different. Okay, so some similar, some different, okay? So not everybody wanted it exactly the same distance apart. What were the other reasons that could affect the distance that you felt and said, that's good enough? What were some other factors about the way you guys are sitting together? Yeah, there's somebody on the other side of you, isn't there? There's rules how you get into an elevator, isn't there? Right? So you don't just walk into an elevator and step right in and just stare at the other people, do you? That's really weird, right? You're just going to be a little bit creepy then. You give each other space, and a third person comes on. What do? Do you stay there? No, everybody adjusts again. We all know this about the use of space, don't we? What we may not realize is that when my field of vision is constricted, my depth perception begins to change right away from here and even here, way before I get all the way to monocular vision. So what did you notice about Teepa now, even more so, about the way that she positioned her body? When she came in and approached Lauren the first time, where did she pause, say her name, and say, it's Teepa? Yeah, it was a little farther away, wasn't it? So Teepa, with respect, asked permission to enter her space. And only then did she get low. And where did she exactly present those oranges? Right in her field of vision, isn't it? She held up the 2 oranges. So thinking about how it is now that our field of vision changes, and we know that Lauren was incredibly hungry, or even if she wasn't feeling hungry, how was her blood sugar level? Really low. So my guess is Lauren's vision was well beyond here, had moments of here. So what does that mean for you, for your individual, for your person? Or if you're here because you want to support someone else who's the care partner, what do you know about their stress level, and what do you think is happening with their own vision when they're stressed? Even no dementia. So turn to your partners and talk a little bit about what is it you could do when presenting things, when walking into someone's space, the use of space. What is it that you're going to try differently with your loved one or a colleague or somebody in the community that you realize is really stressed out? Where do you want to present the information that you hope that they notice? Turn to your partners. What does this mean for you, for your folks living with dementia? This is where a community comes in. This is where perspective and ideas can grow in our ability to connect with people. So a question was posed earlier tonight. How do I keep my brain healthy as possible? Okay, so I'm going to ask you guys, because you all know this, unfortunately. We got way too many health campaigns out there. What are some things that we know, unfortunately, that our physicians tell us all the time that we should do to keep our bodies and our brains healthy? So what are some of the things that we probably should do? Exercise. Yes, we do. We really need to move our bodies. It's true. Sleep. Oh, yeah. That one's a tough one for some folks, isn't it? Sleep is very difficult. These are questions and conversations if you're having trouble. It's one thing to know what you should eat and how you will use communities to support that healthy eating. It's another thing to really struggle with sleep. So having those conversations with your provider, and if the provider you're talking to says, oh, you just need to be a little bit better and get off your phone, you're like, no, I've tried that. It might be time to seek out another provider. That you talk to your community. Find another person, someone who's actually interested in having a conversation with you. What else? Anybody know else? So, stimulating your brain. It is. It's about stimulating, finding those things, being here tonight, learning something new, getting curious. There's another thing that I see so beautifully here, and it's the reason why people had trouble sitting down after tea. It is community. It really is. And the great thing about this, for those of you that have spent your entire day with people and literally your sanctuary is your home, and you were thinking, I've had enough of people, I don't want to be this close to people, I love my people, but I really need me time. The great thing about community is that there's a plan for it. So those of you who are extroverts that really gain your energy from people, those are the ones who actually were sought out. You were actually generally married to the introvert. It's true. There is usually two people in this party. And the reason the introvert really liked it and it really worked out is because you're the one that talked and did those things they really didn't want to do. It's not that our introverts don't like people. Some do, but most like people. It's just that people take energy. I gain energy from within. So if we have social, it's got to be for both. We have to know when we're coming. We have to know who's going to be there, what we're going to do, and most importantly, what else is the last thing you want to know, people? When you get to go home. And you cannot break that rule, extroverts. If you promise the person you love that we will leave and end this program at 9:45, guess what I promise I will do? I will end at 9:45. We promise. And I can't violate that. So it's getting social and community that works for you. But I see that here. I see that here more than so many places I've been. So how you actually can use community to bolster each other for all these ways are the ways in which we will help each other. And if we recognize, just like the mental health campaigns that have been going on, this is the place to pause and say, that's a big one, isn't it? Those cortisol dumps are hurting my brain. So, what did you guys figure out in terms of the vision? We figured out stuff with space too, didn't we? I want us to recognize one other thing before we move on to this last little piece we're going to do tonight. And that is the experience of this. We're taking very black and white descriptions of things. The reality is that each person's lived experience is their own. The way that they experience and how vision is affected with their type of dementia, as well as who they are, is very different. So one of our co-teachers living with dementia, who'd sat just in hours and hours of our courses and provided information, actually gave us this perspective one day.
I thought that when I had heard from these vision changes, that the areas out around the scuba mask or the goggles would just sort of black out, and I would only see through the scuba mask or through the goggles. That isn't it at all.
Right.
The rest of that area is there. It's just that it takes too much effort to try to see it.
Right.
You have to concentrate the rest of your energy on trying to listen, or trying to eat, or trying to breathe, or all the other skills that are still going on with your body, because it just, everything takes too much energy. And so you can't use it.
Too much energy. So I can't use it. And this is a person with a lot of words, so early to mid-state in her dementia, having that perspective and what effort it takes. It is a very challenging thing to have dementia. The littlest things can be truly exhausting. And it's our job in that place to kind of pause and say, wow, tell me what that was like for you. What was happening for you in that moment? Because it may be some simple little things like, it's the motion of my clothes in the closet that I can just no longer track. It's too much to see. Well, what do you think might work? Does everything have to be hanging, or could things be folded? So there's possibilities once we start to get creative with each other. So let's think about this in terms of another part of the brain. So let's look at what we call our sensory motor strip. So this is a little bit farther on in the disease, just to give you a couple of ideas. But take a look at the part that's circled in red. So this part of the brain is that same motion I had you make earlier, where you take your hands and actually put it up here. It's actually between around here, your pinky and your thumb, okay? And so what we're actually looking at is if you took your thumb and your pinky and just sliced down and popped this out like a piece of toast. That's what we're looking at, that top part. But what of the two colors of the brain do you notice is missing more of in the bottom? Is it the white matter or the gray matter, the brown, darker stuff? It's the white. Do this. It's the wiring. It's the connections that we're losing. I still know how to eat. I know how to move my body. I do feel that pain in my hip, but I'm having trouble figuring out making the connections, what to do about it. We all can understand this as we develop our own growing awareness of our own bodies, to recognize the difference between an upset stomach and I'm really, really hungry. They're very close, and we actually teach each other as parents to children as we're growing what that difference is based on the passage of time. But as we get older, we actually learn our own bodies better. That sensory motor strip, it's there. I just got to figure out how it is I help you activate it and get, because what I see in PAC, take a look at that bottom part circled in red. Is there any white matter there? Any connections? It's very faint, isn't it? Very faint. So at the very end of the disease, I got to know skillfully how to do this. So before we wrap tonight, I want to go ahead and introduce one other skill. And it's what we call hand under hand. So hand under hand is a technique that's based on actually capitalizing what it is your brain and your body can do, that we actually come together. It's a way in which I am telling, in fact, our brains are communicating without any words, that we are here. We are here. We are here. And we're together. It's a safety mechanism. So I wouldn't mind if I could have a volunteer come up, and this will be just literally doing a handshake. Donna's like, you're next. Thank you so much. So this is my friend Yola, and she is going to help me figure out, would you like to be the person who is doing the, or would you rather be the person, you'd be the person living dementia? Okay, so you are right, you're right-handed, right? Ooh, left-handed, ooh, it's gonna be even trickier. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're actually going to, with a cup, a clean one at that. So just like Teepa did with Lauren, in fact, I'm gonna have you scoot your chair just a hair over that way the camera gets it. You go farther back that way. There we go, perfect. So I'm gonna set this up, noticing I'm staying outside of her field of vision, but setting myself up, ready to go. Come around from the front and actually make a visual connection. Yola, if she has it. And in this case, because she's left-handed, I'm actually gonna offer out with a visual my left hand and see if she invites me in. Because what I'd like to do is to help her drink. So what I actually can do is with the strength of our connection, and if you want to, you can go ahead, let's stand up so they can see. And then we'll come and show you this in a second. And you're welcome to stand up. We also have lots of supportive video for you. I actually can keep the connection of our relationship that we've established when we make eye contact a little bit. And I can see if maybe, if you like, no, you're good. If you like here or do you like here? This one, yeah. You can actually feel it where someone relaxes just a little bit. Their amygdala says, I feel safer, without any words. And I can actually help her drink. And she can even, by closing her eyes, her brain knows exactly when to put her lips out. And in studies in this, in Duke School of Nursing, we found that people ate about 20% more than if I do, take a drink, take a drink. They call these resistive behaviors. I call this survival, okay? I don't think that this is something I want to have happen. But joking aside, what do you think the stress is on the body if this is the way you're taking in nourishment? Versus you actually have control. And when she's done drinking, she can physically tell me she's done. Because the relationship here is both of us. This is not a handhold. This is the two of us in connection. And if she wants to leave, she can. And if I want to leave, I can too. This is a hand connection that doesn't allow either one of us to be in relationship without permission of the other. So I'm going to show you all a video. And then I'm going to ask, if you will, in the last few minutes, few seconds, to actually give this a try. So this is Miss Lucille. And I can show you, in fact, I'll send out where this video is online.
I've never seen her open her mouth that big. Yum. It's because her hand is coming to her mouth versus you poking her in the mouth with your spoon. And her brain going, whoa, what's that? Oh, wait a minute. Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, it's okay. And this is like, oh, okay, I'm eating. Got it. That's pretty easy once I know what it is.
In about a month and a half. She was
Here you
taking
go.
about 2 sips of protein shake, maybe a couple times a day.
Wow.
Isn't that fun?
Oh, my.
Both of you are
nurse's
going to have a better
staff.
time. And what I'm doing is supporting under her elbow. And so that gives her a little added information. And when I do that, she can sit upright a little bit better, too. And I can judge.
Is this not amazing?
And this is what we call hand under hand. A way that I can truly be present with you to, at the very end of your life, help you eat. And what a beautiful thing I can do to truly be with you. And you also get to tell me at that time. And the very last part that controls our hand, the skills and the strengths. But the very last part of our development of our hand is actually this. Go ahead and make 2 fists. And make this motion. It's the last skill we learn in our hands. It's actually where we start dropping the Cheerios off of the tray as babies. But the ability to let go. And if we are connected enough with our people this way, they will tell us when it's okay for us to let go. And I'm ready. So I want to thank you for being here tonight, for taking the time, and for making the effort to recognize, and it does take effort, that something else is possible in dementia, because it truly is. And I'm hoping that if this information was very new to you, that in fact you will reach out and let us know if there's anything that we can do. We've got a bunch of free resources here for you all. And we just wish you the best. We are not going anywhere. And in fact, my hand is out in an offer. It's a wonderful opportunity. Thank you.